Greetings and salutations, fellow pilots. This is Akirishin. In this video, I will be featuring the Messerschmitt Me-265 ground attack aircraft. This is a beauty of an aircraft. I really like the looks of this plane. Such a different, unique design. The Me-265 has two 7.92 millimeter machine guns, and those do 30 damage per second with a rate of fire of 1200 rounds per minute, so a huge rate of fire there, and an effective firing range of 440 meters, which is not very long, but then we have two 20 millimeter cannons, and they do 110 damage per second each with a rate of fire of 420 rounds per minute and an effective firing range of 780 meters, which is very good. Now from there you either have two additional 20 millimeter cannons or you have two 30 millimeter cannons, and I am going to feature combat later on in this video with using just the 20 millimeter cannon and then switching to the 30 millimeter cannons. Let's see here, these are the same, yeah, these are the same cannons, 20 millimeter cannons. The 30 millimeter cannons do 180 damage per second with a 240 round per minute rate of fire and an effective firing range of 576 meters. So, a much higher damage per second with the 30 millimeter cannons. From a defensive standpoint, the Me-265 has four 13 millimeter machine gun turrets, one on each side of the plane here, and those are pretty good. They also have a really neat sound to them. In terms of bombs and rockets, it does not have any rockets, sadly, and it only has two bombs, each of which do 4,400 damage within a 75 meter radius. I think that this plane could use either two more bombs or rockets. I think only having two bombs is, a bit of an issue with this plane, quite frankly. But it does have the good, armaments, gun armaments, so I guess maybe they would think that makes up for it, but I don't know. I think it could use more bombs or rockets. In terms of upgrades, I have equipped turret stabilization, which increases the effective firing range of our turrets by 15%, so that's pretty significant. To make this aircraft more tanky than it is, it already has good survivability and is resistant to critical damage and fire. But to make it even more tanky, I have equipped improved covering, which decreases by 20% the chance of critical damage to wings and tail, and plus 5% to aircraft hit points. Also, I have equipped reinforced airframe, which decreases by 10% the chance of critical damage to engines, crew, wings, and tail, and increases the Me-265's hit points by 15%. So I think that's a pretty effective combination to make this aircraft quite survivable. For pilot skills, I have selected Marksman 1 to improve our dispersion, the dispersion of our forward-firing weapons by 5%. And I have also selected Demolition Expert, which increases the damage caused by bombs and rockets and their blast radius by 15%. And finally, I have selected Protection Expert, which increases the effects of our improved covering and our reinforced airframe by 40%. So 2 out of our 3 upgrades are equipped by Protection Expert, which is nice. Again, making this aircraft even more tanky. For our gunner, I have selected Armorer, which increases the burst length of a turret by 20. And also Ballistics Expert, which increases again our firing range by 15% for our rear turret, but also augments our turret stabilization upgrade that we got over here by 20%. So all 3 of our upgrades are improved by our pilot and gunner skills. So great synergy there between the pilot and gunner skills and our upgrades. So I'm a big proponent of that, to get as much bang for your buck out of your overall build being working with good synergy among the various different parts of the build. In terms of ammunition, I have gone with universal ammunition. For our machine gun, it has high chance of fire and a medium to low chance of critical damage, which you would expect from machine gun ammunition. For the universal ammunition with our cannons, it has equal parts chance of fire and critical damage. Our 30mm cannon has high critical damage and medium to low chance of fire for our universal ammunition. For consumables, I have gone with First Aid Kit. Again, this aircraft has good survivability. It's resistant to critical damage and fire, so I did not go with the fire extinguisher skill, since it's already resistant to that. And I went with the First Aid Kit so that if our pilot or our rear gunner gets injured, it'll automatically get them back into health. I've also gone with Control Surface Auto Trim, which automatically restores controllability of wings and tail. And I mean, if you look, this is a large aircraft. It's got big dimensions, so it's easy to hit up there and get your wings or your tail damaged in this aircraft. And of course, what is a must for these ground attack aircraft is weapons cooling, which cools down all weapons and provides temporary resistance to overheating. So that's really nice. All 3 of these are gold consumables with 60-second cooldowns. The First Aid Kit and the Control Surface Auto Trim activate automatically. The weapons cooling, of course, activates manually because it's very situational in nature. In terms of the aircraft specifications, its optimum altitude is 900 meters, and I usually stay very low to the ground, trimming the tree tops sometimes. Stall speed is 130 kilometers per hour, so bear that in mind. Average time to turn 360 degrees is 16 seconds, which is not, horrible for a ground attack aircraft of this nature. Top speed at best altitude is 600 kilometers per hour, so that's pretty good for this aircraft. It's a fast aircraft. That's one of its strengths for sure. Alright. In terms of paint schemes, one of my favorite things about this aircraft, it has Really terrific paint schemes. This is Marine, which is meh, so. But then you have Winter, which I think really looks awesome. I love these smaller camo patterns that the German aircraft have. This is Summer and Desert. Desert's probably my favorite, but both Winter and Desert are very nice. You've got this off color here, but you don't get any type of concealment benefit from that particular camo. Okay, so that is my build for the ME-265, and what we will do now is head over to World of Warplanes website and compare the ME-265 to its other Tier 7 ground attack aircraft peers. So let's do that now. So we are on World of Warplanes website using their Compare Aircraft tool. And I have the 3 Tier 7 ground attack aircraft in the game here to compare. One of those, of course, being the ME-265. The other 2 are Russian attack aircraft, the IL-8 and the IL-10. Now, I know one of you has requested that I review and compare the IL-8 to the IL-10, and I can tell you I have already made some videos in that regard, but one of the planes I have researched it, but I'm still have a few of the upgrades to research. So as soon as I get all the upgrades researched, I will be featuring a video on those 2 planes as compared to one another. But we'll kind of talk about them during this video, so maybe a side benefit of what we're doing here. Alright, so looking first at gun armaments. What we see is that the IL-8 is said to be superior to the ME-265, whereas the IL-10 is said to be inferior to the ME-265. So why is that? And it's a difficult question, as it turns out, to answer. If you take the machine guns and the cannons of the ME-265, collectively they can do a total of 630 damage per second. In contrast, the IL-8 can only do 568 damage per second. So the question is, if the collective damage of the IL-8 is less than the collective damage of the gun armaments on the 265, why is it said to be superior? And the only thing I can think of in that regard is that the longest effective firing range of the cannons on the 265 are 780 meters. In comparison, the cannons on the IL-8, the longest effective firing range there is 1200 meters. So that's a pretty significant difference there, and that may account for the IL-8 being said to be superior. Now the IL-10, its machine guns, cannons, whatnot, can do a collective 500 damage per second, so that's probably why it's indicated to be inferior to the ME-265. But it's an interesting question why they think the IL-8 is superior in terms of gun armaments, given that they do less damage per second. And I can only explain it to be maybe the effective firing range, which is better, much better than the ME-265. Bombs and rockets, both the IL-8 and the IL-10, are significantly superior to the ME-265. And in that regard, the ME-265, it has two bombs that do 4,400 damage each, so a total of 8,800 damage, collective damage capable by the bombs on the ME-265. In comparison, the bombs and rockets, the combination of those on the IL-8 and the IL-10, can do a total of collective damage of 18,400. Big difference between 18,400 and 8,800. So that's a huge difference, folks. And that's why, I think that the ME-265 is a little unbalanced, that it could use a couple of extra bombs. In terms of hit points, the IL-8 is 300 points better or superior than the ME-265, whereas the IL-10 is the same. So when we talk about the survivability of this aircraft, one of the things I wanted to point out to you is with regard to the rear turrets of these three aircraft. The rear turret on the IL-8 does 120 damage per second. The same for the IL-10. In comparison, the rear turret on the ME-265 collectively does 512 damage per second. So that's a significant advantage in favor of the ME-265 in terms of its survivability, is that rear gun that does 512 damage per second, which is excellent at this tier. So I think that's important to remember when we talk about, hit points and survivability of these three aircraft. Top speed at best altitude, the ME-265 is clearly faster than either the IL-8 or the IL-10. It is ME-265, it's one of its strengths. It is a fast aircraft for being a ground attack aircraft. Average time to turn 360 degrees. The ME-265 has a 2.2 second advantage over the IL-8, whereas the IL-10 has a 0.6 second advantage over the ME-265. Stall speed. The ME-265 will stall sooner than either the IL-8 or the IL-10. Optimum altitude, which is again not a very significant issue, but the ME-265 is said to have an advantage over the IL-8 by 300 meters and the IL-10 by 200 meters. Rate of climb, again, I don't think a very significant issue for a ground attack aircraft, but the ME-265 has a 17 meter per second advantage over the IL-8 and a 1.6 meter advantage over the IL-10. So bottom line is that if you are looking for the best ground attack aircraft of this bunch, I think that you have to go with the IL-8 overall. It's just more powerful. So I hope that helps put the ME-265 in context with its other two Tier 7 ground attack aircraft peers. Having gone over my build and this aircraft specifications, and having compared it to other Tier 7 ground attack aircraft, let's head into a battle now. We're going to go in first, trying out all 20mm cannons and not equipping the 30mm cannon. And then after that, we will equip the 30mm cannons and see how they do. Okay, so we'll be fighting in the ME-265 over the Archipelago Stumbling Block, Theater of Operation. And look at this beautiful plane. Yeah, unfortunately there was a cloud there, and I thought the radar tower had been taken out, but unfortunately it had not. So when we came out of the cloud, staring right there in our face was the radar tower. Yay us, right? Oh well. Is what it is.
Enemy bombers inbound. Don't let them reach their target.
And while we were beating on that, we were able to get our bombs back. Target here, and should be able to there we go. Okay, so heading over here to the airfield. Let's see what we have going on here. Get everything? Looks like it. And looks like we've got something on our butt there. See if we can't deter him. And we'll take this one out with the bomb. There we go. Okay, so moving right along here. Team's doing pretty well. So we'll head over to their command center. I was a little worried that the 20mm cannons were not going to be as effective on the ground targets, but they seem to be doing a good enough job. Do have one engine that's kind of struggling there. Slow us down a little bit, and steering not as good as it once was. Bombs taking down that boat there. Tried to drop the bomb to see if maybe I could at least get a bomb kill out of that. So we'll head into the airfield over here to the northwest. Catching up to us, so we need to make something happen here.
Reports about rapidly deteriorating weather conditions. Support will be unable to reach you. Do you read me? Over. There's a heavy storm here. Unable
Yeah,
to
we'll let the
proceed. Return into base.
bots
Do you
get them.
copy? Step it up. We're losing the battle.
Wait. Oh. Ugh. Well, we're out of it anyway. It's like, where the heck is our team? Everywhere we go to attack, our team is nowhere. They're just flying out here in the middle.
Bomber squadron detected. Engage them immediately.
Well, this is lost. But, you know, we did our part. Did what we could. Unless they can, our team can kill off the rest of them, but it doesn't seem likely. There's still one human left over there. And we have bots working on bombers instead of killing the enemy, which is our only way of winning.
Turn back. The enemy force is too strong.
Okay, so effective fire, subjugator #1 on the team, 3 chevrons on our grade rank. Let's head back, take a look at the after action report. So yeah, other than, you know, crashing into that radar antennae I think that the aircraft performed very well. Of course, it wasn't the aircraft's fault. We ran into the radar antennae, but you know, going through that smoke, didn't see it. But I think the aircraft performed very well. Did a good job. Destroyed 15 ground targets. Did over 44,000 in damage to ground targets, and that was in 2 minutes 23 seconds of battle time. That's pretty amazing, I think. Destroyed 2 aerial targets in addition to that. So, you know, I'm pretty pleased with that effort. Got bombardier, so we did destroy 1 aerial target with a bomb. So that was good. Captured 3 sectors. Did well over 10,000 in combat points. And 3 chevrons on the grade rank, like I mentioned. So, yeah, I think this aircraft performed very well. Let's equip the 30mm and see how it does. Okay, so we'll be fighting over the Albion Sphere of Influence, Theater of Operation. And,
Attention! You are entering the combat zone. Get ready for battle. Good luck.
we'll head to this garrison over here on the northeast side of the map. And we still have 2 20mm cannons, plus the 2 30mm cannons.
Show me what you can do, pilot.
So let's see how it
Let's
does.
roll.
Got a 45-second engine boost, which is very generous. Boy, wouldn't it be awesome if we could shoot down those blimps, balloons, whatever they are. Fire started, so that'll burn that down there. Alright, so we got that. And he's doing pretty well here. Head over to this garrison over here that they just took. Alright, so come back around here. Looks like we left a building there. Okay, got the garrison there. Secured that. Now we will head to the garrison over here. And that is going to be a long trip. Forever, doesn't it? Watch it paint dry. And this is not, you know, a slow ground attack aircraft. As ground attack aircraft go, it's pretty fast. Alright, so we'll drop a bomb right here. Bomb right here in the center. I think we'll be able to take this plane down.
Air supremacy achieved.
Okay. More sector, looks like. Where is that? Oh, it's behind us.
Be advised, a line of thunderstorms is approaching. We'll soon be unable to provide support. Do you copy? Over.
I think we will get there in time to do some good, but we'll see.
Keep it up. Victory is almost ours. We cannot support you any longer. The storm is too heavy. Do you copy? Over.
Goodbye. And there we go.
You pilots, head back home.
Okay, so very successful there. Rear cover, effective fire, self-defense master, Subjugator rank 1 on the team, 3 chevron grade result. Head back and take a look at the after action report. So yeah, and I like the 30 millimeter, and that was with standard ammunition. When I switched it over to the 30 millimeter for that second sortie, I forgot to equip the standard ammunition. Okay, so 10 ground targets destroyed, did over 53,000 in damage. 2 aerial targets destroyed, 4 sectors captured. And that was in 7 minutes and 46 seconds of combat. Over 8,800 in combat points. And the 3 chevrons on our grade rank got us to the #1 position on the team. So, yeah, I did not equip universal ammunition. I forgot to equip the universal ammunition when we switched to the 30 millimeter. So that was just with, you know, standard ammunition, and we did a lot of damage. So yeah, I'd say the 30 millimeter is a keeper, but you saw we did well with the 20 millimeter as well. So it's a great aircraft, so much fun, and wow, what an awesome looking aircraft. Desert is probably my favorite. Just look at that. Awesome looking. Alright, well, I hope that you have really enjoyed this video as I have bringing it to you. And if you get an opportunity to fly the ME-265, I hope that you have great success in it.